Have you ever been asked to take basketball team and individual pictures in a hallway for an entire league? Well, today I'm going to show you how. Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to talk about challenging situations for any kind of photos, really, but specifically team and individuals, because there's more people involved. So it's can be a little bit more stressful and challenging if you have a terrible location and you have to make pictures look good, because obviously, especially if it's not just one spot for, a senior or a portrait shoot or something like that, and you're going to move around to others, every now and then, you might pick a bad spot where then, the client might want a bad spot. It's not the best, and you have to, but you're gonna have to make do with it. But you're gonna have other spots you can go to too. This is different when you have a whole league or a whole team in one area, and it's less than ideal. So we have another video that we recently posted here on YouTube that goes through a quick lighting change between team and individual pictures for a basketball and cheerleading squad. And we'll link that too, so you can check that video out. Also, it involves fog, and I believe I had 4 lights in that one, and 4 for the team and then 3 for the individuals. And it really only involved moving 1 light, and I didn't have to move myself at all. We had some fog involved and backlighting the subjects, and it was a good way to show you that you don't have to have 2 complete different sets. You can use kind of the same set and just alter your lighting a little bit. So I'd highly suggest checking out that video. But this was a little bit different scenario for this Upward League that I recently shot, because it was more kids, number one. It was like 500. It was over multiple days, and we weren't able to use the court at all. So the other video was on the court, luckily. This one was not. We basically were in like a hallway or a lobby, and it did not look like a basketball gym, needless to say. So how do you get around something like that? Well, you a lot of times have to have a little bit of a budget involved, because you might have to buy some stuff, and you want to keep that to a minimum, obviously. So luckily I was able to use the floor that was in the lobby. It wasn't perfect. It didn't look like a basketball court necessarily, but the good thing is basketball courts a lot of times now have a lot of designs on them. Sometimes they're checkered. And so this was like a normal tile glossy floor, and it had different color blocks on it, some light and some dark. There were a few colors thrown in, I took care of that in editing, but we were able to use it because it was glossy and reflective, so it somewhat resembled a basketball, like more of a creative basketball court, but it didn't look like it was completely out of the ordinary. And then besides that, we had to create our own background. So right now, we're gonna show a behind the scenes video where I just kind of walk around and show the setup while we're there. And the reason that I referenced the other video before was because I showed you on the court how I didn't have to move around a lot, or really at all, to change my lighting setup for the team and individuals. Here I did change, but I was able to do it back to back, so I just had to turn around. So basically I had the team picture in one spot, and then I turned around and the individual station was right behind me. So the moving was minimal, which was ideal for the situation because there were so many kids involved. So we're gonna play that video now so you can see what it looked like. All right, so we've got like 500 kids in 3 days, so we have to be as efficient as possible. So we have it set up to where I've got my camera marked. So this will be the team station right here where I'm pointed. You want to turn around and grab this real quick. So we've basically got 2 9-foot by 20 backdrops with 3 stands up as far as we can take them, which is not as far as I'd like, but the point is to get them above the light mods and behind them so that it's black. And we have 4 light mods, 2 1x3s and 2 1x4s, and then 2 X-Drop Pros in front of them, and they're kind of hanging over so that the X-Drops are blocking the stands. And then we have 2 7-foot umbrellas, and we've got a pole here that's kind of in the way. So we're not back as far as we'd want to be, but I think it's going to be okay. We've got them kind of angled down a little bit more than 45 degrees with the Fusion. So I'll shoot those here with my A7R5 and my 24-70, and then turn around to do the individuals. And we basically, for that, just have a black background, another X-Drop Pro. We have a green gel, a Flexi gel with this reflector on the background to make it green, because that's their colors this year, gray and green. And then we have a 2x3 softbox on each side with FJ200s. Everything else is FJ400s. Those are 200s with 2x3s and grids to get edge lights. And then our main light with the Westcott Easy Boom is an 800 actually. And we've got a Manny Ortiz on that. We've got the C-stand so we can raise it up and down. And I'll shoot those with my A9 III right here in 70 to 200. So I can just basically turn around and switch cameras whenever I need to switch. So hopefully it should help it go smooth. All right, so that gives you a better idea of the setup. So we utilize my friend James Quantz's light mods that are made by Westcott. And we had several strip boxes. We had 4 strip boxes behind the team shot to backlight them, and then 2 umbrellas in front. The distance from the background wasn't ideal. I would have liked to have pulled him off maybe a little bit more and had the 9x20 black backdrops up higher, because the whole reason we had those up was so that they would go above the light mods. So we basically had 3 layers. We had the black 9x20s, and then we had the light mods in front of them to resemble stadium lighting. And then in front of those were the X-Drops to block the stands and part of the soft boxes. So you want those 9x20s black backgrounds in the back up as high as you can, because you want to be able to get the lights in it, obviously, and above the lights. That's the whole point. The ceilings were a little bit, now they were definitely high enough to shoot in, but they were a little bit low as far as how high I wanted to get those backgrounds up. So, but it still did work. It barely covered enough room that I was able to get a little bit of area over the top of the light mods, and then flipped around. And I was going to use the light mods originally with the individuals too, but at the last minute I decided not to mess with the fog, because while that is a really cool effect to backlight people with fog, there's so many kids involved in this. It does get kind of foggy in one area like that whenever there's not a whole lot of open, there's not any windows you can open. There were some doors going outside, but they weren't opening that frequently. It was cold and raining, so I thought it was better just to do away with the fog, just to light the X-Drop with a green gel, which is what their colors were this year for the uniforms. So that matched, and then, edge light them with soft boxes. So you saw all that. Worked out really good. I'm going to show you some of the final images now so you can see what they look like. So here is one of the team pictures. And so I'm going to press before and after. I'm going to press backslash. I'm in Lightroom right now, just so you can see what the out of camera looked like here. So there's before. And you can see, so the light mods, I didn't get them as tight as I wanted to in a few areas. That's easily fixed in Lightroom with the remove tool, especially now with AI, where it doesn't use the healing brush as much, because sometimes the healing brush doesn't like edges. But the remove tool did a really good job. So once I went in there and painted around in those areas, and even the edges of the softbox, it really took care of that and made it look nice and clean. So it blended it with the background really well. I made them a little bit brighter, maybe. And some of the circles, they weren't completely round. And once we had them up there, I didn't want to take them back down and redo it. So I did use the remove tool on that, and it used AI to fill in the circle, which it worked out perfect. So you can see it's still, like this one, for example, is not a perfect circle now, but it's more round than it was initially. That was one of the ones that was a problem. And this one had like a little, at the top, kind of had an edge that was kind of sticking up, and then it took care of that pretty good too. So we've got a nice solid black background with the 2 X-Drops, and then, like I said, the floor had we had 3 rogue squares here, blue and 2 orange, but we were able to take care of that. So basically I masked the floor with using the new masking features in Lightroom, and it did a really, really good job. And then took and desaturated that and took out the orange and the blue, and then it made it black and white, which looked pretty good. I could see that being a design on a basketball court. Now, it's not, I think that like a wood grain would probably look a little bit better, but this looked, I thought, very acceptable and close enough that it worked for sure. So then we turn around for the individual, so I'll show you a few of those. So like I said, we've got a 70-degree reflector with an FJ402 on the ground pointed up at the background. We didn't use a grid because it was too narrow of a beam once I did that, so I just left it bare and had it close enough that it didn't light the whole background, the whole black background. And I was wondering what that was going to look like, because the X-Drop fabric it's wrinkle resistant, so it's kind of like a blanket, honestly. And so there is a texture to it. It's not like seamless paper. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. But it actually kind of looked cool, honestly. It does give it a texture, and it looks kind of like one of those backgrounds that you might have custom made on canvas or something. So like somebody painted it, like with oil maybe. I thought it turned out really cool. I wasn't expecting to like it nearly as much as I did. I thought it was going to bother me, and because I was thinking it was going to be smooth, and it ended up not being that way. But I kind of like how it turned out, honestly. There's another one where kid's in a triple threat stance, and then another one here with the ball up on his shoulder. Here's another team. Now, ideally, what I would have liked to have done would have been back up a little bit and gotten down and shot, because if you get down low, and I talk about this in the other video that I referenced earlier, when you shoot down closer to the ground and compress the image a little bit more, then you get a better reflection and the ground looks a little bit darker a lot of times. I wasn't able to do that because I just didn't have enough room. So this is a good lesson. And, sometimes it's not going to turn out 100% exactly how you would choose for it to if it was a perfect world. But photography is solving problems a lot of times. I say that a lot to my students at my workshops. And so you've got to figure out the best case scenario for each situation. May not be 100% perfect, but this turned out way better than I, honestly, when I first walked in the room, I wasn't sure what we were going to do, but it turned out pretty good. Ideally, gotten a little bit lower, but I couldn't get the umbrellas close enough because of that pole that was in the way. So, but it turned out well anyway. And then another team. So I had them up on a box too, so that now I had to take away the apple box for a few kids because they were just too tall for the background. But a lot of them, the purpose of the box was so that I could hide. And I don't remember if that was in the video or not, but I did have a box that I pulled out for the majority of the kids because I put the FJ400 on the ground, and so the box had them high enough that wasn't in the frame if I got some of their legs in the frame. And if they had been on the floor, I realized quickly after doing that a few times that the light was going to show, the reflector was going to show because it was too big up by their knees when it was a smaller kid. So then once I put the box there, then it alleviated that problem completely. These kids were probably tall enough and it wouldn't have mattered, but that was a little bit of an issue that I fixed. But luckily I had the box with me. That's also a good tip too, to always bring, it seems like every time I think I should bring, I don't know, whatever it is, a certain background or whatever, or a certain, set of clamps or gels or whatever, I think I should bring those with me, and then I decide not to. It seems like it never fails. Every time I go to the shoot, I feel like that when I do that, and then I end up needing them and I didn't bring them. So if you think of something that you might need, go ahead and bring it, because worst case, you just don't use it. But if you need it and don't have it, then that's a problem. So, but this went really almost too efficiently. We got way ahead. I remember when I first started doing this league several years ago, the whole time was, shooting pretty much, and it took every minute that I had, and it was exhausting because, I do these from like 5 until like 8:30, and I used to have to shoot the whole time. I'm not really sure why it took me so long, because we got done way ahead of time on these, and I even had all the kids do like 3 different poses. That is one thing with this setup particularly, that you can't do dribbling or anything like that, so you've got to take that into account. But with an upward lead like this, with that many kids, or any kind of league, action shots, if you start getting into that kind of stuff, it gets a little bit more complicated. So it's good to keep it simple and give them poses that are good, but you don't want it to get out of control. So that's why, for this, I wouldn't, I don't mind them not being able to do real action shots anyway. Just pose shots for this kind of stuff usually works out pretty well. But giving them options is also a good thing too, because then you can post all of them. I give 3 poses and the parents get a choice then, so they can pick which one they like best. So, but all in all, I'm really happy with the way these turned out, and it was super easy because of the way we set it up back to back. So, I know that there is a lot of equipment involved in this. We had several lights, so there's 4, 5, 6. So there's four light mods, 2 umbrellas, so that's 6 for the team picture, and then which you could do that with just 2 strips. I didn't have to have 4. I did it with 2 last year. I wanted to try 4 because I thought it would look good, and I think that it did. I think it added something to the picture, but you could get away with 2 for sure. And then for the individuals, we had 4. So it's 10 lights total. So I know that I realize everybody doesn't have 10 lights, so some people aren't going to be capable of doing this kind of shoot with that much going on. You could honestly, especially if it was outside, get away with the 2 main lights for the team picture and then turn around with 1 light for the individual. So you could probably do it with 3. If it's a smaller group, maybe you could use 1 umbrella with 1 light for the team and then 1 for the individual, maybe, or use the same light. But the point of this video was to show you guys how to be as efficient as possible. Try to stack your sets or keep them close together so you don't have to move, because the more you move, the more time the shoot's going to take. And I think that's probably the problem that I used to have with photo shoots like this, is I would move around too much. And now that we've got it streamlined and compacted like this, it works really well, and we get done in plenty of time. We don't have to staying late when you've got your last team at 8:30. That's not very much fun. Nobody wants to do that. So, okay, well, that's our short video for today. I hope that helped. I hope you guys got something out of it, something you can take away for your team and individual shoots. If you did, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. That helps the channel keep going. Make sure that you subscribe. I already said that. Make sure you subscribe so that you get notified. Man, I'm butchering this ending. Yeah, make sure you subscribe, and then make sure you go to the website, sign up for the newsletter so that you get notified when we post new content or when we release new videos, new templates, maps, new workshops, all that good stuff. Stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more to come. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.